Okay, this is the story about how Coyote helped make the world. And that's a difficult thing to do. Now, long, long ago, when God made the world, it was covered with water. There wasn't any land anywhere. And there weren't any animals or plants or people. And the water was acid and bitter. Not a very nice thing to drink. And God looked at the world and said, I'm going to make World Maker. And I'll put World Maker underneath the water. And when it's time, he'll come to the surface and make the world. And then he looked at World Maker and he said, World Maker is going to need some help. So he made a brother for World Maker. And then he said, they're going to need help. How about a coyote? That's what they need to help them make the world. A coyote. So all three of them were underneath the water. World Maker, his brother, and Coyote. And then it was time to start making the world. World Maker started swimming up toward the surface, and his brother followed him. But Coyote couldn't swim very well. And he said, wait for me! But they didn't wait. So Coyote grabbed on to World Maker's brother and sunk his teeth into World Maker's brother's leg, and he screamed, let go my leg! But Coyote held on as they swam to the surface, and when they got to the top, the brother was blind. He had done a very foolish thing. He had opened his eyes when Coyote bit his leg. And the water was acid and got in his eyes and blinded him. World Maker said, I can't see anything. I'm blind. Don't worry, said Coyote. I'll tell you everything there is to see. Well, what's to see? Water. There's nothing but water. World Maker, isn't there any land anywhere? That's the first thing we're going to make, said World Maker. We're going to make some land. Coyote, sneeze. And Coyote went, Choo! And he sneezed out little red ants. Sneeze again, said World Maker, and Coyote sneezed again. Choo! And Coyote sneezed again and again and again, and soon all the water was covered with little red ants. And then World Maker began to sing, and as he sang, the little red ants came together and formed the land. And World Maker said, now there's some land, Coyote. And Coyote said, yes, we have made land. World Maker and me, Coyote. And Coyote climbed up on the land, and World Maker's brother said, wait for me. I can't see the land. I don't know where to climb. And Coyote said, grab onto my tail, and I'll pull you up on the land. So that's what happened. Coyote pulled World Maker's brother up on the land and said to World Maker, what do we do now? Oh, now we have to make some plants. Will plants be good to eat? Oh, yes, we'll have lots of good food to eat. once we make plans. Well, how do you make plans? Shake, Coyote. And Coyote shook. What happens to a wet dog when he shakes? Anybody know? Water goes everywhere. And that's what happened. And Worldmaker said, shake again, Coyote. And Coyote shook hard, and all the water came off of his fur, and everywhere it landed, something started growing. Corn, rice, beans, oak trees, tomatoes, spinach, broccoli, watermelon. Are these good to eat? Said Coyote. Well, try one, said Worldmaker. So Coyote ate a tomato and said, that's good. I think I'll try a melon next. And he ate a watermelon, and that was good too. And the brother said, well, what's happening? And Coyote said, we're making plans. Worldmaker and me, Coyote. And the brother said, well, I can make plans too. And the blind brother started making plans, but all his plans had thorns and stickers on them. And Coyote looked at those plants and said, I'm not going to eat those. The blind brother said, I don't want you to eat those. They're mine. Okay, said Coyote, I'll eat the plants that Worldmaker and I made. And he did. And when he was full, he said to Worldmaker, what's next? And Worldmaker says, now we have to make animals. And Worldmaker started taking clay from the land, and with his hands he shaped the clay into all the animals, goats and cows and lions, zebras, armadillos, mice, rabbits, wolves, bear. He made lots and lots of animals. And brother asked, what are you doing? And Coyote said, we're making animals. And the blind brother said, I can make animals too. And he made jellyfish and turtles and lobsters and fish and a seahorse. When they looked at the blind brother's animals, Worldmaker laughed. They can't live on the land, but maybe they can live in the water. And he took all of his brother's animals and threw them in the water. And that made the blind brother angry. And he said to Worldmaker, you'll be sorry you did that. And then he said to Coyote, and you're going to be sorry too. And Worldmaker jumped in the water with his animals. And as he jumped in, he started spinning around and around and around, faster and faster, and he made a whirlpool. And out of the whirlpool came sickness and germs and disease. Worldmaker put his foot over the whirlpool trying to keep the germs in the water, but his foot wasn't big enough. It didn't cover the whole whirlpool, and lots of the germs got out. Coyote said, I don't feel well. My nose is all sore and stuffy. My head aches. My neck aches. What's wrong? Well, you're sick, Coyote. I wasn't able to keep all of my brother's germs in the water. Well, what do? Just wait, said Worldmaker. The sickness will pass. I wish I had some light to see by. Why is it so dark? Here, I'll make you some light, said World Maker. And World Maker licked his finger and started dabbing at the sky. And everywhere he touched the sky with his wet finger, a light shone. And that's why we have stars in the sky. And he said, that's good, but it's not enough light to hunt by. Oh, you want more light? Okay. And this time, World Maker licked his whole palm. And he rubbed his palm on the sky. And he made the moon. That's better, said Coyote. Here, I'll make it even better, said World Maker. And he drew a picture of a rabbit on the moon. There. Now you have moonlight to hunt rabbits. But I'm too sick to hunt, said Coyote. I can only get warm. Can you make it warm? Of course, said World Maker. And this time he rubbed on the sky even harder. And where he rubbed, the sun burst out. There. There's some warmth, Coyote. That's good, said Coyote. And he lay down in the sunlight and went to sleep. World Maker said, now that Coyote's sleeping, I can really get to work. And he took a big stick and walked all over the land, dragging the stick. And wherever he dragged the stick, he made rivers. And on the sides of the rivers, the land piled up and made mountains. Soon Coyote woke up. I wonder what World Maker's doing now, he said. And he looked, and World Maker was making rivers, and he accidentally kicked a rock, and it fell in the river and dammed it up, and he made a lake. That's fun. That's fun, he said. And he started throwing more rocks in the river and making more lakes. And he flattened some land out to make the desert. And Coyote said, this is lots of fun. And soon he went back to all the animals and said, this is fun making lakes and deserts and mountains and rivers. You didn't make the lakes and deserts and mountains and rivers. World Maker did. Oh, he said, but I helped. We don't believe you, said the animals. And they went to ask World Maker. They said, Coyote said he helped you make the world, did he? World Maker laughed. World would not be what it is now if it weren't for Coyote. And Coyote said, see, that means I helped. And the animals all said, well, we want to help too. Too late, said Coyote. Too late. The world's already made. Not quite, said World Maker. There's one thing left to do. Do you know what that is, Lily? We have to make people next. People like you, Lily. And the animals all said, we know how to make people. We can make people. And World Maker laughed and said, all right then. You animals go make people. And Coyote will help you. So they turned to Coyote and said, you're supposed to help us make people. What do we do first? And Coyote said, you got to pick up some mud and shape people out of mud. But most of the animals didn't have hands. They had 4 feet and they had hooves and claws, and they weren't able to shape the mud. All except for Lizard. The lizard had nice, fine hands with fingers at the end, and he could shape the mud really well. And Coyote said, Lizard will make the people. You just tell him how to do it, and he'll make it. And the animals all said, he's got to have 4 legs like we do. So Lizard made a lump of clay with 4 legs, and then Mouse said, he needs a long tail like I have. So Lizard made a long tail for his person. And then Rabbit said, and he's got to have big ears like me. And Lizard made ears. And Deer said he's got to have antlers. Lizard put antlers on it. Wolf said he needs sharp teeth. So Lizard made sharp teeth. And Bear said he needs to be big and strong like me. So Lizard made him big and strong. And Bird said he's got to have wings so he could fly. And Owl said he has to have big round eyes so he could see at night. And Armadillo said he has to have armor on his back to keep him safe. And Lizard kept putting things onto the person. And when the animals had all said everything they were going to do, they stepped back to look at the person. And Coyote said, that looks awful. And Owl said, that tail, take that tail off. That tail looks terrible. So Lizard took the tail off, but Mouse complained. That's a very beautiful tail, just like mine. Put the tail back on. Lizard didn't know what to do, so Mouse took the tail and put it on himself. And then Wolf said, it's those silly ears he's got. And Wolf went and pulled the ears off the person. Rabbit said, those are very nice ears, and he can't hear without them. Put the ears back on. And all of the animals said, take this off, take that off, put that back on, put that back on. And Lizard didn't know what to do. He just dug a hole in the mud and climbed down and went to sleep. Meanwhile, Coyote said, I think I'll go find World Maker, see what he's up to. And World Maker was making something out of clay. What was he making? A person. And Coyote sat down and World Maker said, well, did you make people? No, said Coyote. Those animals don't know how to make people. They don't know what people should look like. Well, how should they look? Said World Maker. How should they look? Like you're making them. But if they don't have wings, or antlers, or long ears, or a long tail, hey, you'd better make them smart like me. World Maker smiled. Well, said Coyote, are you going to make them smart? As soon as they're dry, said World Maker. Well, how many are you going to make? I'm going to make 2 from every color of mud on the earth. There'll be 2 black ones and 2 brown ones, 2 yellow, 2 red, 2 pink, 2 white, 2 of every color of mud on the earth. Well, that'll take a long time, said Coyote. I'd better go find something to eat. So Coyote went off and ate, and when he came back, World Maker was gone. But there, sitting in the sun, drying, were 2 people, 2 of every color of mud. 2 black people, 2 brown people, to pink people,
to red people,
to red people, to yellow people, to white people,
to green people.
And Coyote said, I wonder if they're dry yet. And he stuck his nose in the belly of a person. And it wasn't dry yet, it was soft. And his nose left a mark right where your belly button is. And then he said, I wonder if some of the others are dry. So he poked a black one with his nose, he poked a brown one with his nose, he poked a pink one with his nose. Soon he poked every person, and none of them were dry. And he said, well, I'll come back when they're dry. And he went and found Lizard. And he asked Lizard, well, did you make people? No, said Lizard. The animals all got very angry and started fighting with each other, and they all ran off. And they said, it's impossible to make people. Oh, no, it's not, said Coyote. World Maker and I made people. World Maker and me, Coyote. And then in the distance he heard World Maker singing. And he said, Lizard, come see all the wonderful people we made. World Maker and me, Coyote. So now you know how the world was made.
If you don't believe it, just look at your belly button.
Yeah. See if you got a belly button where Coyote poked you. You think you got a belly button where Coyote poked you? And being out here in the country, you know what you could do at night? On a nice night?
Here's coyotes.
Go outside and listen very closely and see if you can hear the coyotes howling.
What do they sound
Lots
like?
and lots of coyotes around.
They don't
I
sound
like wolves.
Well, not exactly like wolves, but
They're probably closer to dogs than wolves.
yeah.
They're about about like a medium-sized dog.
What do they sound like?
Well, I once had a record of coyote sounds. They make all sorts of different sounds. They can bark, they can howl, they can go yip, 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 yip. They have a wide range of sounds they could make. In fact, Mom could probably find you some coyote. Yeah, like that, very good.